This is called the 7 sins of imaging. Since dedolights are based on a highly sophisticated optical system, they also allow the addition of further optical accessories, like the aspherical wide-angle attachment and the dedolight images. So let's talk about the imager, which fits the larger dedolights. This one is called DP400, dedolight projection attachment for the series 400, and it also fits the dedolights of the new series 1200, as well as the future dedolight LED lights, the LED 9.0, the LED 12.0, our big LED lights. The DP400 dedolight projection attachment for the series 400, also called imager, is a modular system with unprecedented quality and versatility. Our imagers have become successful tools for demanding precision lighting. They are ideal for special effects, from large, high-precision projections all the way to the tiniest accents. Whenever light and shadow patterns or gobo projections with razor-sharp edges are needed, our images allow perfect contrast rendition, high resolution, and high light efficiency. A unique image plane adjustment provides edge-to-edge sharp images even for off-axis projection. Whatever your creativity calls for, the imager does it all without any of the 7 sins of imaging which often plague other systems. Now, we have incredible resolution, perfect contrast rendition, no color fringing. Many other systems show red, blue, and green irisation or color fringing around the shadow edges. We have no halation, no flare, no distortion, no curvature of field. That would show in a way that the center of the image and the edges do not focus on the same plane. No vignetting, again, none of the 7 sins of imaging. Different modules serve different functions. They're interchangeable with simple bayonet attachment, which is self-locking. The condenser module, that's the one nearest to the light head, which remains for all the interchangeable devices and tasks. The framing shutter module. Now this module features 4 non-removable shutter leaves, which move into separate planes, allowing movement of one shutter leaf without touching any of the other leaves. This provides ease of operation. Here we can also demonstrate one aspect of our optical precision. When you remember from your physics classes, light, when it's forced to go through a very narrow gap, will react unfavorably by showing diffraction, which will result in halation. At the same time, it will produce color fringing, where you will see red, green, and blue along the shadow edges. With our system, you will not find any of these detrimental effects, even when you make the gap unbelievably narrow. Otherwise, the framing shutter system will provide hard or soft edge light framing in any size with utmost precision. The eye filter attachment. Now this is a set of 3 very special filters, which provide a softer shadow edge beyond the effect that you may gain anyhow by defocusing the projection lens. 3 different soft edge filters allow for flowing light and shadow effects with a soft edge for the creation of practically unnoticeable effects, for example on a label when you're shooting a commercial, accentuating the eye portion of a face like you might remember from some of the older drama films. But here, you might not even notice it when it's done in such a gentle way. These filters are not to be understood as diffusion filters. They don't spread the light all over the place. They just create highly controllable gentleness, of light and shadow edges. Another one is the universal module. This is a receptacle that will accept the following optional accessories: a glass gobo holder, a holder for special background effect glasses, a steel gobo holder, a set of loose shutter leaves, which are not always easy to operate as they are with a dedicated framing shutter device, because here the shutter leaves may touch each other, which takes a little extra time and care. This module also accepts the 18-leaf iris for round projections. Very special is the slide holder module. It's another interesting attachment which works with slides 6 by 6 centimeters or 2¼ by 2¼ inch. This attachment includes a super high quality heat reflecting filter, a quiet fan and a power supply. The life expectancy of a slide will depend on the type of dedolight light head and the kind of a lamp used in it. Now, when used with a light source of maximum intensity, discoloration of the slide may become noticeable after approximately 50 hours. A more bluish slide may show such signs earlier than a warm-colored slide. Many of such projections may not happen from an axis which is 90 degrees to the surface onto which we're projecting. And then it would be perfectly understandable that one side of the projected image or shadow pattern would be shown in focus, while the other side of the projection, which is further away, may not be in focus at the same time. Here is our solution. For the universal attachment for gobo projections and anything else that is used on the universal attachment, you will find a silver screw which allows you to shift the image plane and correct the focus between near and the far part of the projection. Rotate the entire dedolight imager in such a way that this screw shows to where it is closest to the projection surface. First you focus to the near end of the projection, then you turn the screw, moving the image plane until the far end of the projection will come into focus. This will correct the focus of projection up to an angle of about 45 degrees. Even on the slide holder attachment, you will see that the swivel of the actual slide holder can be moved in 2 axes, so that you can correct in both planes horizontally and vertically, or anything in between, or play with selective focus in respective areas of the image. Such a function is well known to photographers from their view cameras, except here we do not correct for the keystoning. We just get everything into focus. If we also wanted to correct the keystoning, it could very well be done, but at the cost of a high light loss. Now, like on a camera, the lenses on the imager system are interchangeable, from extreme wide angle to very long focal lengths. Also here, we have some extraordinary design achievements. Tell an optical designer that you want an imaging lens with the highest possible resolution, no distortion, no color fringing, none of the 7 sense of imaging, with the quality of some of the best lenses used on cameras. And at the same time, you want the maximum transmission similar to what you find on some of the high-speed lenses for cameras. At first, the optical designer will see this as a wonderful challenge until you tell him that the lenses with such qualities as they're used on cameras cost maybe $15,000. Whilst here we want to design such a device at a mere fraction of the cost, not allowing the designer to use many aspherical elements, not allowing him to use expensive glass types. Any experienced designer will then simply open the window and jump out, because he knows that such a task is totally impossible. But with my wonderful designer, Dr. Depu Jin, with whom I've been working now for over 25 years, we did it anyhow. We may also want to add that on a projection device like we have it here, there's no way you can stop down the lens. The lens has to show all of these described properties at fullest aperture. Here, for example, we have a 100mm lens with f1.6, 6 optical elements, and for Hasselblad-sized images, as we're projecting here, you may have never even heard of such a lens with these qualities and unprecedented high transmission. The widest lens that we have is a 70mm lens with f1.5, a marvelous piece with 7 elements, quite heavy and very exceptional for the large size of image that we're projecting here. The 185mm standard lens has only f3.5, but also remarkable qualities. The longest one is 230mm with f2.3, and the latest addition to the entire range of lenses is a 150mm lens, f2.2, which I'm also very proud and happy to have. By the way, don't forget that the focus position on the light head itself determines whether you will achieve perfectly smooth light distribution or encounter some vignetting. On the focus scale of the 400-watt dedolight, you will find a mark at 44-degree angle, which says focus to this position to achieve the best results with the imager attachment. There are several other light fixtures from other manufacturers which try to fulfill similar tasks. For many creative tasks, their performance may be sufficient, but if you really need the highest precision, if you need something that is beyond the 7 sins of imaging, if you don't like color fringing, if you don't like to have bad contrast, then you have to come to us. I admit that the full arsenal of optical marvels, as we have it with the interchangeable lenses and the super high transmission, is not needed for every project, and not even by every lighting creator. But for example, the framing shutter or the background projections with the standard lenses can be extremely useful for special effects, for creating super controlled highlights, textures, reflexes on expensive TV commercials, shooting products, food, and such. If lighting is a critical part of a special effect, then in all probability, you will find dedolight equipment on the set to satisfy the highest demands. Similar images or projection devices we also have for our smaller lights. Here you also find the DP2 framing shutter device, the DP1 universal device, and the DP3 suitable for slide and gobo projections, again with a fully adjustable image plane. Here you also find a full arsenal of lenses, from a 50mm wide-angle lens, a 60mm, a standard 85mm, 150 and 185, and even 2 high-quality zoom lenses. Especially the small projection attachments, which work with the classic dedolight series and our smaller daylight fixtures, can be part of the day-to-day arsenal of the portable studio kit to project wonderfully creative background patterns and images for high-class interview lighting or many dramatic effects. All this may be just another aspect of our madness or our pure dedication to the art of lighting.